so much going on in comic books. First, Miss Freeze basically teaches us that she's pretty much a stripper. She's cold, crazy, and she gets all stabby. That's it's weird. Fantastic Four teaches us the downside of ethics. Ethics aren't always a good thing, and we're going to talk about that. And Second Coming is slowly becoming second rate. These comic books and some more we're going to be talking right after we hit that intro. Hey, you wonderful weirdos. I'm Pocan Joe, and as always, you're pretty cool for coming by. First, I want to give a big shout out to Ava and Ryan. Hey, guys, it was really good seeing you. Those are my niece and nephews. I think we had a good time, although it did cost me $40 to get them off their phone. But, you know, it's the holidays. Why not? Hey, guys, really good. Really cool stuff. Let's move on to our comic books. I haven't gotten all my comic books. For some reason, my comic book shop is a little slow, so a lot of my indies did not come in, and I didn't want to wait any longer to get this video out to you. So let's snuggle in, talk about some comic books, and have awkward sips of coffee together. So good. All right, let's move on to DC first. DC's kind of interesting. So yeah, basket full of heads, right? This came out. This is again that in-between issue. Bad guys find girl. Girl lobs head off with axe and doesn't die because it's a magical Viking axe. Okay, I'm cool with the premise. Let's move on with the plot of this and further the story some more. Where's her boyfriend in all this? We don't know. Apparently, one of the bad guys has his badge and also got his gun, so we can presume he's dead. Maybe? I don't know. I don't know, but I'm going to continue reading this because this reads more like a script than it does a comic book to me, and I'm kind of enjoying that aspect of it, so I'm not getting too deep into it. It's just mostly shallow reading for me. Moving on, we got Justice League Dark. I like what's going on in here. We're Cersei coming back, and this whole witching hour kind of thing coming back just on the opposite side. It's basically the retelling of the first storyline with Wonder Woman having the witching hour stuff, only now the bad person has it. Okay, what are they going to do with it? Well, they're going to kill everybody. Yep. So yeah, that's happening. Bubba the Chip is doing crazy stuff in here. They all realize that Wonder Woman's not Wonder Woman, right? And that does not work out well in their favor because the bad guys are back in town, right? So they're going to do their thing. They get their first major conflict to each other. But what's most interesting about this story is at the end, we get some more of this guy that we haven't really dealt a whole lot with in this storyline. So that's kind of interesting. I want to get some more of that. Next is Freedom Fighters. Don't let the cover fool you. They basically whip up on these guys to the point to where the no, back up. Only three greats. Only three greats. Grandson has to set off a nuclear device just to stop the Freedom Fighters. That's crazy. Americans finally get their act together and start believing in America again by opening a radio station. Or ham radio or whatever it is. It's awkward. But the story is still good, and I'm really enjoying this. Again, this is one of those hit or miss things for people. It's definitely a hit for me. I like it. I'm a little American nostalgic sometimes. I'll go with that. Next, we got, Detective Comics. So you heard my comment in the beginning that Mrs. Freeze is basically the stereotypical stripper. She's cold, crazy, and she gets all stabby. Well, she does. She stabs her husband with some sort of poison after he saves her. Yeah. So what's the underlining story in this? This isn't ableism. Yeah. I mean, we all know the guy or the girl that's in a relationship with somebody that maybe needs a lot more attention than normal. In other words, they're dating her crazy. This kind of deals with that to some degree, and not in a fun way. And ultimately, what ends up happening at this is, again, a nice little reversal in the story where now Mr. Freeze is in a tube, but nobody's taking care of him the way he took care of his wife. It's just unfair. But that's life, I guess. Moving on, we got Year of the Villain. This is Action Comics, and this is good. I like where this is going. Leviathan's still back in there, causing all kinds of troubles and problems. And this is finally the culmination of Superman and that Red Mist story and the Invisible Mob, right? That's kind of brought into Action Comics now with Leviathan happening, and then, of course, the Doom Wars as well, is all kind of coming together in this story right here. So I would definitely check that out. And what do you all think about these acetate covers? Is it silly gimmick or is it any better? That's a good question to ask. I'm not really sure myself. I haven't quite made up my mind. I mean, I don't really care. Well, I've been picking them up. Why not? So yeah, this actually turns out to be a very good story. I would definitely check this out if. And the great thing about it is you don't have to be up to speed on all the tie-ins of super stories right now. You can dive into this and pick up what's going on pretty quickly. A few questions maybe, but nothing that can't be handled in a quick conversation or a possible checking out my channel. Speaking of my channel, if you haven't liked or subscribed or any of that stuff yet, please feel free to do so. I love it. I appreciate it. All right, moving on. Oh, also, if you would like to know more about these stories, don't forget Blaster or Stash It, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on YouTube. That's Blaster and Stash It. We're myself. And so far, it's just been like the half squatch. It's just been me and him. Hopefully, the other guys can jump on soon. Hopefully, we'll see you all soon. I know with the holidays coming up, it's probably just going to get more hectic. But we miss you guys, definitely. And don't forget, we have a live chat going on right then and there where you can interact with us. You can tell us we're wrong. You can agree with us. You can recommend books. You can ask us deeper questions on some of these books that we've read. We encourage that. So definitely swing by if you can. All right, moving on. Punisher 2019. Or 2099. 2019. 2099. This is kind of a weird story for me. I guess you have to be kind of up to speed on the whole 2099 universe or comic book film. I think because they kept making references that just didn't make sense in here, and a lot of expectation is on the reader to kind of understand the future as it stands now. So, you know, after a little research, okay, I had to do a lot of research, find out more about this policing agent and why these people believe in a Thor as some sort of omniscient spirit. Well, I guess it is. He constantly calls himself a god, so that now makes sense. But there's like these gang of them that live old, and apparently at one point they were like, you know, they're not that bad of people, and then in the background you literally see two of them trying to kill each other. So I don't know. But all in all, it's a blast. I didn't much like this story. I thought it was kind of boring and extremely predictable. You've seen this story before, and it was just so obviously just easy to pick out right there at the beginning, and for no other reason than just to do it. Awkward sip of coffee time. It's been a while since I've done a morning show where I get to drink coffee. It's awesome. Something I liked. I really like this Venom line that's going down. First of all, I love that cover too. This is Venom number 20. This is good. There's a council of Reed Richards out there, and the Maker's one of them. This is what the Maker looks like without all of his fancy headgear. I'm not going to say what that looks like. I'm not going to do it. You can't make me. And in this, we kind of get, okay, what the Maker thinks of Dylan, why Dylan is super fascinating to him now. And we kind of get a little insight that the symbiote, you know, constantly has to evolve itself to protect itself, kind of philosophy, right? So now it had to create something completely different, and that is what Dylan is now. So now, once again, we've been told that he's objectively different. How? We still don't really quite understand it, but it's like the 8th time now that we're constantly told that Dylan is different. Good. What can he do? Like, he made one symbiote blow up. That was really cool, and some smoke came out of his eyes or something at one point. That's really cool. But other than that, not really much going on. So, the Maker's trying to go back to his universe and recreate it or get it back up and running. And he believes that there's this symbiote that can save him through the traveling through the dimensions. It sounds so ridiculous when you say it out loud. But anyway, so he's going to be running experiments on that, and also he's going to be keeping a closer eye on Dylan as well. Let's see what happens. I'll follow this down, but really it's time to, whoever's writing this, it's time to, like, you've been writing a great story. Is it Kate's? I believe it's Kate's. It might be Kate's. It doesn't matter who it is. Is it Kate's? Yeah, Kate's. All right, Kate's. You've kept us in suspense long enough. It's time to pick up the pace here a little bit and get this story rolling. You just came off of a hot run with absolute carnage and that whole tie-in. It was great stuff, right? So now we got our in-between issues where you get to kind of slack off a little bit. Let's pick that pace up. Let's see what's going to happen next. Scream. All right. We've seen this before. Dysfunctional girl. Mommy left. Sad, boo-hoo. I'm in homeless shelters now, but I'm super different because I have a symbiote that lives in me that's driving me crazy because crazy is the new norm. Okay, I'll bite. Let's do this. We read through it. It was an okay story after all, and Mom shows up at the end. Or is it? Dun, dun, dun. It probably is. But that's how I kind of felt reading this. It was like, oh, there's your big dramatic moment, and it was kind of, we get a cool villain in this, and monsters just kind of muck from all the death and everything that's been happening, with the events of Carnage, has formed some sort of woman monster thing that controls like these dead beasts that are out there. Don't overthink it. It's comic books, right? It's just what happens. So they attack Scream at one point, and she defeats them, no problem. But she explains to us why she's beating them so easy. Like, they're just super easy to tear apart, right? It's because they're underwater and they're rotting. And the smell of the rot and all this other stuff. And, of course, we get this cool little cliffhanger here. That's Mommy, by the way. So that was pretty cool. I went with this Scotty Young cover because my wife collects Scotty Young covers. That's it. Okay. Let's see here. Avengers. All right, so we're back in space. Our last issue of Avengers dealt with the Avengers BC, and it was really cool. And I was like, oh man, I can't wait to get my hands on the next issue. Bam! Get to next issue, and now I'm in space. I'm in space. And I got Gladiator. And Gladiator's got a problem with his little prison. The Brood's back. And apparently this is a very large prison. It's not even really a prison is not even the word for it. It's more like a galaxy. There's like, I think they said 8 quintillion. Yeah, Q's quintillion. So yeah, 8 quintillion people locked up in this prison. And apparently there's some sort of explosion happened. We believe it has something to do with the Starband, which is a, kind of the connecting piece from the last issue when Starband was there. Okay, fine. We get in there, we're getting involved, we're shooting into space. Ghost Rider's like super ecstatic now. Now he likes being an Avenger. Like he's like, I'm all about being an Avenger, going into space. Just like that. After his little trip to hell, all of a sudden he's cool being an Avenger. I'm not buying it. It's garbage. But anyway, they're selling out there. And then we get this kind of skip where for some reason Thor has turned into a brood. And he's trying to keep hold of his hammer because it was kind of creepy the way it did it. It was like, as long as I can hold the hammer, I'm still worthy, which means he's not 100% brood. And then it drops there. Him and Captain America are going at it. And Black Widow showing up with an escape ship because all kinds of messes happen. We don't know the details to it. I'm assuming that's coming in the next issue. But it is very fast-paced at that point, and I really like the story. Plus, it's kind of cool to see Gladiator again. He's the ultimate objectivist that you can find in the universe. Like everything's just ... He kills his own people because they're infected and has no problems with lying to the family about how heroic they were. Yeah. Last but not least, as said at the beginning, so Fantastic Four in the negative zone. We get a little lesson on ethics in this, and I thought it was interesting. First off, we should define our terms because ethics has been so misused and watered down over the years that it doesn't mean what most people think it means. Ethics has nothing to do with good, bad, evil, heavenly, or anything like that. It's just a way of acting. And in this, they talk about apparently Reed Richards accidentally created a planet or a life of some sort and then abandoned it. And then somebody found it. That's probably not the best intentions and encoded their DNA on it. Now this intelligent bacteria that lives in a sphere, like a rule. It notices Reed Richards' objectivity of being a god or the maker, but renounces him for abandoning it and praises the villain for saving it and giving it direction to some degree, like it floated it into space. It is really interesting. I really like that, but then Reed Richards is constantly talking about ethics in this. What is the ethical responsibility that he should have? Well, of course, it's a bad thing and it's angry at Richards, so they have to destroy it, but he keeps a small sample of it. And the question comes up, why are we keeping a sample of our enemy? And he brought up a great point in there about how smallpox was defeated. The genes, or I'm sorry, the bacteria from cowpox, which was a disease way back before smallpox was, is what ultimately cures you and vaccinates you from smallpox, almost eradicating it. But we still keep samples of it all over the world. Why would we do that? Something that dangerous? Well, like cowpox, it was the poison of the time that cured the poison currently. And he kind of looks at it that way as well. And I thought that's responsible. Now, he failed in his moral right? Responsibilities to this thing that he created that was nothing more than an experience, and now we're dealing with the good and bad of something. So again, getting a little smarter every day with comic books. I really liked it. I thought it was a good point. Moving on, my only ending until the other ones get here is Second Coming. This is slowing down for me. I don't know if I'm just not getting the jokes or I don't know. This is getting kind of boring now. Apparently, there's somebody that runs a country, and it's kind of like a cross between, I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of like a cross between like old school Russian Europe and someplace where they wear fezzes like Turkey or something like that. Also, it kind of reminded me of Iraq too, because if you've been to Iraq and you've seen the road with the two swords crossing, right? And then the eagle on top of it, yeah, that's kind of... So this guy kind of lives in his own little fantasy that he is super manly and super strong because he's able to, or he needs that persona. We'll put it that way. He needs that persona so his people can see him as a leader, much like Kim Jong-un uses in North Korea, where he's like rides unicorns or whatever bull BS that they coming up with this week. So he needs, and there's actually pictures of him wrestling rhinos and punching bears and all this other stuff. All right, fine. And he lures our superhero, Star Son, there and tries to blow him up with a nuclear blast. And I was like, really? And he lures them there by pulling on his heartstrings and saying something to the effect of, I know you want children. You can't have children. Come to my country. We have beautiful children. Pick one. And literally the door said, orphans inside. And he walked in. Whatever. Jesus and God are kind of going back and forth like a father and son do. They're going back and forth with each other about Satan coming back into heaven because Satan wants to come back to heaven. Ultimately, he says no, and he lets him know in a rainbow. I thought that was a good analogy with the rainbow. What we find out at the end is Satan's like, okay, I can't come back into heaven. So he's basically building his own little doom there, and that's set up like the Last Supper. And our foreign dictator, he's part of the... He's got a seat at the table, I guess. Okay. Where am I going with this? I don't know. A lot of biblical stories happened in here, too. And it's okay. Basically, God's disappointed with everybody because everybody's a jerk. And Satan never really liked humanity to begin with, so his imprisonment here was done as a punishment. And he's so bored and lonely and blah, 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 blah. Yep, I'm pretty much bored with it. Awkward sips of coffee. All right, so what's going on? Well, I already told you about Blaster Stash at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on YouTube. Definitely, if you have the chance, check that out. Come into the chat room. Let us know what you thought about. These are the books I'm going to be bringing, and I might have about 4 other independents if they get here today because I need something to read. Hopefully that happens. I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. You got filled up on turkey and green bean casserole and pumpkin pie and the whole night, and you just had gravy all over everything. And I hope you had plenty of sandwiches. That's the best part of Thanksgiving, just the after sandwiches. Again, hopefully you got to spend time with friends and family and have a good time, because that's important to do at least once a year. And again, to my nephew and niece, hey guys, it was really great seeing you guys. I thought we had a good time. We played games, we told stories, we did riddles. And they brought me some of that adult magical juice, which was awesome. All right, guys, I got to get out of here. I got nothing else. Again, happy holidays from the clan Pocan to yours. We hope that you all have a great holiday season.